and we will always be there for them.
Mr. Speaker, the entire WE scandal was based on trying to help students, and instead of helping students, this government helped their close friends at WE. And now it's become very clear, while students are struggling, while they're afraid, while they're worried, while they can't pay their bills, while they're not sure if they're going to be able to find a job, this government would rather risk plunging our country into an election than helping students. So were they just empty words, as I said, when the Prime Minister promised to help students, or will the Prime Minister get to work and actually help those in need?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, not only have we pledged to help students, but we have helped students. Students have been at the heart of the challenges faced by this pandemic, so we announced a comprehensive $9 billion plan to support them, including the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, which provided direct financial support to over 700,000 students and recent grads. We created jobs, placements, and training opportunities, including over 84,000 Canada Summer jobs, up to 40,000 student work placements, an additional 9,500 opportunities through the Youth Employment and Skills Strategy, and we've doubled the Canada Student Grants. We will continue to be there for our students all through the country.
The Honourable Member for Calgary. No.
Mr. Speaker, first the Prime Minister said he was going to make a decision on Huawei before the last election, and he didn't. Then he said he was going to listen to our allies before he made a decision. Then he didn't. Our Five Eyes allies have all decided that Huawei can't be in our 5G infrastructure. Will the Prime Minister come clean with Canadians and admit he wants Huawei to be part of Canada's 5G network?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, emerging 5G technologies have the potential to meet an explosion in consumer and industrial demand for faster and higher capacity networks. We want to ensure that Canadians benefit from the latest 5G innovations, and at the same time, safety and security of Canadians will always be our #1 priority. We will never compromise on issues of national security. That's why we're working with our allies, with our experts in intelligence and security services to take the right decision for Canadians.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And he will never make a decision, Mr. Speaker. Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, we stand up for human rights. This week, we heard that Huawei was being banned from the network and even described China as a threat to national security. The Liberals often like to quote Sweden as an example, but not this time. Why is the Prime Minister afraid of putting public safety first when it comes to a Chinese business? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we will always work to protect the security of Canadians and our communities. That is our first priority. At the same time, we will continue to work with our allies, with our partners, as well as with intelligence and security agencies to make the right decisions for Canada. We will continue to do what is in the interest of Canadians. The Leader of the Opposition. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Investigations show that the Prime Minister offered a Liberal friend a huge contract. Frank Billis was a Liberal MP just 6 months before getting the contract. Now he is making ventilators. What a coincidence, Mr. Speaker. He received a contract for more than $200 billion. Is the Prime Minister going into an election to hide these scandals and corruptions? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, since day one, we have taken measures to ensure that we have the necessary equipment to ensure the safety and health of Canadians. An important part of our strategy is to establish partnerships with industry in order to guarantee a safe and certain supply in ventilators, but I don't want my honourable colleague to mislead the House. There is no contract between public procurement and Baylis Medical for ventilators. We are well equipped. We are using less than 10% of our current capacity of ventilators. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. That's interesting, Mr. Speaker. FTE, a company, was created just 7 days before it got a contract for more than $200 million. The Prime Minister said in May that we would get 30,000 ventilators by the end of the year. The result? The latest public figures indicate that we have only received 2% of that amount. Is the Prime Minister giving contracts to professionals or to friends? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I don't want people to be concerned. We are currently at 10% we are using 10% of our current capacity. We have received more than 3,500, and we expect more to come in coming weeks. We are acting according to recommendations by experts panels and asking public health and those responsible. There was a contract to FTE for 10,000 ventilators. Public procurement has no role in this. The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, means the Prime Minister is failing Canadians once again. Yesterday, the Prime Minister was willing to call an election to cover up the truth as to who was getting contracts from this government. This morning, we learned that former Liberal MP Frank Baylis signed a contract with this government that pays his company over $200 million for ventilators. Even in a once-in-a-century pandemic, Liberals find a way for Liberals to help themselves to taxpayer dollars. Mr. Speaker, how many more contracts did the Prime Minister hand out so that the Liberals could make money during a COVID pandemic?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, since day one, we've taken action to ensure that we have the supplies needed to keep Canadians safe and healthy. Canada is well equipped in ventilators. We're now using less than 10% of our current capacity. We've received thousands and we'll be receiving thousands more in the coming weeks. Following the recommendation of an expert review panel and at the request of PHAC, PSPC officials awarded a contract to FTI for 10,000 ventilators. PSPC has no involvement in agreements reached between FTI and its suppliers.
The Honourable Member for Bella et Chambly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 2015, we heard that Canada is back, internationally speaking, and then there was the Aga Khan scandal in 2019. We talked about the environment, and we had the first scandal in the judicial appointment process. In 2020, we want to invest in the fight against COVID-19, and we invest in the We Charity scandal in 2020 still. We're talking about helping businesses that are suffering, and then there's the wage subsidy scandal.
To watch what we do to 60 Minutes, you'll get such a kick out of it. You're going to get a kick out of it. But right now, he's got bigger problems than fracking, I think. You know what it's called? You know what his problem? It's called the laptop from hell. The laptop from hell.